We are Geekcentric, and you can be too. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Well, hello, geeks, and welcome to the Geekcentric Podcast. My name is Nate, and in today's episode, we cover all of the awesome things to come out of DC FanDome. That's right, from Wonder Woman fighting a CGI cheetah lady to a man-sized weasel fighting alongside a giant shark man, we are covering it all in this special DC FanDome Recap. But first, if you're joining us for the first time, this is a weekly show covering the world of film, television, gaming, toys, and collectibles, and all things geek-centric. Joining me on the show, and guys, I've not broken the tradition. I've got some amazing names for you this week. We have the juxtapositional, juvenile Joker of Jellyfish Justice, J-Law.
I'm pretty sure you've used like 2 of those or 3 of those already.
Maybe 1 or 2, but you know what?
Isn't that a character in Suicide Squad?
I think it is. And you heard his voice there on a screen next to the juvenile Joker of Jellyfish Justice. We have the Kal-El of crushing criticism, Kevin Hudson.
Cool. I'll take it. I'm a badass.
How are you guys?
I like it.
Right? Well, you usually are. How are you guys doing on this day 648 of quarantine?
Fantastic.
Yeah, just hanging in there. Same old, same old.
You know, it feels like time is finally starting to matter again. Having things to look forward to is kind of fun again.
It's different. I haven't been this excited for a movie in a long time.
Oh my gosh. And we're definitely going to get into all of the exciting news that came out of DC FanDome. But first, we're going to give just a little tiny what show. We're not going to go too long because we've got so much to cover in that came out of the FanDome. But Justin, what you, buddy?
Well, I guess if I'm going to share one thing that I did since our last recording, I guess I tend to watch these movies probably twice a year, and sure enough, with quarantine, I think this is going to probably be the 3rd time I watch these movies, but went through the Harry Potter series again.
Oh, yeah.
Start to finish. I got to say, like, high level, probably the single best realization of like the imagination of what Hogwarts and all that world could look like to film, like probably the best example. And
yeah, I would agree.
And I think just like, the last few movies, like, even actually Order of Phoenix, like I every time that movie surprises me every time. Right. And like for such a boring book, the movie was just so captivating, and, going into 6 and, rounding it out with 7, I can see like 7 could have been just one movie, but I get the idea of trying to break it up and split it. And where they ended part 1 and started part 2 was good. But yeah, like, man, right from like as soon as like I watch Order of the Phoenix and then I know the Half-Blood Prince and it's come to an, it's like it gets good, right? Like it gets really, really, really good. Like everything leading up to it is going. Good, but it's like like I really love those last I'm gonna say the last 3, and I just didn't really enjoy them.
I'm like almost the complete opposite. I find so much of the whimsy and charm and fun of the series is gone by the 5th one. It takes a kind of tonal shift, and I understand the books matured along with the characters, and so the movies obviously had to as well, but, those first 4 are just such a fun adventure, and, it's just a lot of pubescent angst by the end of it, I find, and you said splitting it up was, did they have to, and it's like, just all the sitting in a tent stuff that the first movie kind of was. It was, drags a little bit.
Sure, I appreciate the fact though that like you really kind of unravel a little bit more about these Horcruxes and they're sort of like the energy that they possess and like how they manipulate, you know, Harry's and Ron's emotions because they have such angst about the current situation, whereas Hermione doesn't seem to be as affected by it because I think she's a little bit more level-headed into what she understands, whereas I think Harry and Ron on opposite ends are dealing with the emotional strain that this is giving them. So the Horcrux of the necklace that they have is bringing that out, it's accentuating that. But I agree with you. The whimsy and the sort of magical, sort of childlike nature in the first three kind of leaves you kind of towards the tail end of, I guess, 3, but maybe actually really more into like the tail end of 4, really, where it becomes really dark and serious. And I you know me, I appreciate those things. So while I appreciate the first 3 and that sort of, as you put, the whimsy that it has, I really do enjoy that sort of like the mature nature, and I think it transitioned kind of nicely. It wasn't like a hard sort of thing. I think 4 was kind of like that, almost like that dissolve from childish to the more mature, especially with the loss of Cedric. So yeah, I finished those recently, and yeah, they're literally some of my favorite movies.
Well, Kevin, what's ya?
I've honestly not watched much over the last few weeks.
Sports, baby.
Yeah, I've been on a pure sports binge. The Raps are killing it. Jays are turning things around. The Leafs are a perennial disappointment. Yeah. So, you know,
how similar are some of the sports you're watching to like something like Quidditch?
You're such a wiener.
It's as enthralling, if not more.
Wow. Okay, then I'm in.
There we go. And I'm like 3 or 4 episodes into The Americans. We started that. So, but yeah, very quiet for me in terms of that. But how about yourself, Nate? Whatcha?
Listen, I've been waiting for another HBO show to kind of sink my teeth into since Watchmen, basically, and I've kind of really fallen in love with Lovecraft Country. This is an HBO show. I think I sent you guys a trailer to check out.
Yeah,
it's developed by Misha Green, co-produced by J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele. So you take all those amazing creators and influences and you put them into this melding pot that is basically these 3 characters, guy named Atticus Freeman, his friend Letty, and his uncle George. They basically embark on a trip across 1950s sort of Jim Crow America, right? So it's very, very, very much like sort of the Get Out sort of feeling. But the cool thing is they're going across Lovecraft Country, which basically it's filled with all of the different monsters from a Lovecraft novel, right? So you've got things like Cthulhu, you've got vampires, you've got all these other sort of mysterious monsters. But I think the coolest thing, or I would say the most intriguing thing, is that the most horror actually comes from the white people, essentially. And again, it has that very sort of Get Out horror nature. If you remember the scene from Get Out where they're stopped by the cop, there's pretty much something exactly like that in this, but done in the 50s. And it's honestly, the show is really cool. It's very enthralling. It reminds me a lot of Supernatural in a way, where the episodes kind of are going from sort of moment to moment with an overarching story. But I will say, like, I saw Kevin, you're rolling your eyes when I said Supernatural. The quality is definitely above something like a Supernatural, right? Because it's made, a little more modern, and of course HBO and the like. So it's honestly, it's been I'm 2 episodes in. The second episode dives quite far down in quality, I think, compared to the first one. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how the story kind of goes throughout, because it's a really sort of intriguing mashup of kind of these 2 different genres sort of melding together. It's really good.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. So check out.
Is that being released weekly, or is it?
Yeah. Every Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the new Sunday HBO show.
I'm watching it through Crave, still paying. I almost canceled my Crave subscription, and then this show came out, and I'm like, okay, fine. I'll give you another, whatever it is, month or 2. So, but guys, that is it for our Whatcha. Let's dive into the Dome.
Ooh.
All right, so for today's episode, we are covering the biggest reveals in news to come out of DC FanDome. So, guys, before we get into it, did you guys have a chance to watch the big DC FanDome, or did you just watch all the highlights?
I'm going to have to just be honest here. I thought you were talking about the Thunderdome, which is actually
oh no,
which is actually WWE's new state-of-the-art experience for all their programming.
So, for clarity, you didn't watch any of it?
I watched every second of it.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of the presentation, of sort of how they were able to do that? I mean, it's a little different than what you were saying with the Thunderdome, where that's a physical space. This was a fully digital, realized space with sort of green screened hosts from around the world. What do you think about it?
I think it's unbelievable that DC made me more excited for the next year of movies than all of Comic-Con did.
Yeah.
I came away from the weekend super surprised at how interested I am in various DC projects. So they certainly succeeded there.
Yeah, I think they did a better job than Comic-Con, right? Which is crazy to sort of think about that. It kind of really goes to show how, unfortunately for Comic-Con, at least what's everything going on right now, these companies can hold their own. They don't really need a gathering place like that to pull off these huge events. Justin, what did you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's already been kind of happening, right? Pre-recorded obviously helps for a lot of these things. So having it all pre-recorded and then being able to cut it together essentially is very, very helpful. And DC sent everyone giant green screens and camera equipment to actually shoot it, and so that their parts would actually be a little bit more legitimate. And the Zoom calls and stuff like that were entirely different. So I think they had a good plan in place where they were sending kits and packets to these people to say, here's how you do this. And so I think that's good, because that Matt Reeves and towards the end with Matt Reeves talking about the Batman, that was all pre-recorded, right? They had it in a teaser before the actual DC FanDome launch. So but yeah, I think that's kind of what would help. You wouldn't want to trust something too much to live that big, because it's bound to fail. So to have a pre-record and have a delay on it is probably fairly handy, right? To at least control that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was actually surprisingly entertaining to hear all the news of things that were coming, and actually just some of the smaller panels too, right? That were fairly.
I think it's interesting. I'm wondering if we're going to see more digital events like this in the future. I hope we kind of do. It would be. I would be remiss though if I didn't sort of just quickly mention the some of the strange elements to it as well. I mean, granted, everything on green screen, but why do the people have to be so small in the dome? Even when they were zoomed in on Aisha Taylor and Matt Reeves at the end, they were still more than 6 feet apart and very small.
The whole behind the scenes of that designing of the dome, Jim Lee designing it, and the artwork and all that sort of stuff, and how it is essentially a digital 3D space where, yes, they can make these people look very small and in this grand sort of space, rather than it just feeling like a very green screened wall behind them, right? It's just
right.
It added a little bit of more depth and dimension.
Oh, it was definitely interesting to say the least. But guys, we got so much news out of the DC FanDome that let's just kind of dive right into all of it. We're going to be covering it from top to bottom. I'm going to be reading and referencing all of my info from a fantastic write-up over on IGN by Matthew Adler. So guys, let's just dive right in, starting with Cheetah revealed in Wonder Woman 1984 trailer. This was the second trailer for Wonder Woman 1984, and had plenty for fans to sort of love and look at and see Kristen Wiig's character as she sort of gradually transforms throughout this trailer. We get that sort of final look of her at the end fighting Wonder Woman, where Wonder Woman's got her golden armor on. Guys, what did you think of this trailer? Did it make you more excited, less excited? Were you sort of weirded out by the kind of awful looking CG on Kristen Wiig's character?
Yeah, no.
What did you guys think?
Yeah, Yeah, I think that was the standing. I think though that because the marketing is obviously kind of dwindled with this movie, because it should have already been out, if I'm not mistaken. It should come out in July. And this was something that they didn't reveal in the trailers. To have to like pull this gun out, for DC FanDome, they kind of spoiled the whole last battle, right? Because I imagine she's not going to be a cheetah the entire movie. It's going to be, as you were saying, her working towards it. So they kind of spoiled the final act, which I don't know if that's going to really be beneficial. It might be beneficial now to get people hyped, but at the end of the day, I think we saw that movie.
Kevin, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously already touched on the awful CG. Another thing is, I hate to pigeonhole actors, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to take Kristen Wiig seriously as this, threat to Wonder Woman, We've seen just how powerful she is, and, a cat lady is going to be her main foe.
Right.
Like, I'm almost wondering, because we haven't seen much of him in the trailers, if she's not necessarily the big baddie, but it's going to be Pedro
Pascal,
because we still haven't seen much of him. So, and again, I'm not sure what the character that he's playing and what its significance in Wonder Woman comics is, if it is at all. I'm not really sure. So I'll be interested to see what kind of role he plays.
Well, you're right. I mean, that could be they could be doing a marketing sort of fake out, right? Where yes, they are giving us Cheetah, and we think, oh no, they've already sort of spoiled it. But yeah, maybe he is the big bad. One thing that I thought that was really cool from the trailer that isn't really a spoiler, but it was cool to sort of see a glimpse of, and I hope we get to see a lot more of it. Was sort of the games, the games that they like, the sort of tournament that little baby Wonder Woman is in. I just thought it looked like it was it's going to be a fun segment.
It looked a lot better than the stuff they did in that time period in the first one. Like, it looked a lot cooler than the stuff at the beginning of the first Wonder Woman movie. I'll give you that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, guys, we are going to be checking out Wonder Woman. It's currently slated for an October 2nd, 2020 release date. Let's hope that it actually comes out. Who knows? We'll see.
If things keep going the way they are, these movies might actually start coming out, right?
There we go. Well, speaking of some things that might actually start coming out, eventually we are going to get our hands on WB Montreal's next game, which is called Batman Gotham Knights. Was finally revealed after years of different teasers from the development studio, and instead of Batman, who by the way is dead in this game, you'll take control of Robin, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Red Hood. The game is going to be playable completely solo or with 2-player online co-op. They showed off a 7-minute gameplay trailer to kind of show off what how the game functions and works. I thought it looked really, really fun. I thought it looked really engaging and sort of. I think it looked beautiful. Like, I was surprised by like the visuals of it as well. But Kevin, you're giving some.
There's a butt coming.
Well, I don't have a butt, but Kevin's got a big butt. It looks like he's showing it to me on the screen.
Hey now. I almost came off like the complete opposite. That did not
really. All
7 minutes. I was like, when is this over? Like,
oh no.
And I'm just not sure if it's because it's like a pre-beta version. That there's a lot of work left to be done on it, or maybe you would actually have to be playing the game to understand how the system works. But like, I had no idea. Like, just watching that, I was like, I wouldn't know where to go. How would you know where to take your character next? Like, it seemed really confusing and muddled.
Like, it was a very thrown into sort of gameplay experience, and it was weird when like you see Batgirl kind of like flying around, and then suddenly like a beacon appeared and it was another character like Robin or Nightwing, I think it was, and it's like, well, where did he just come from? Like, maybe that's an additional player joining to help with the mission. It seems very busy.
Yes, it seemed incredibly busy, and I almost think just to the point about the second character, I think because it's going to be 2 people playing on 2 separate TV screens, you won't necessarily see that second player in your screen all the time, right? Like, you could be off at 2 different parts of this level or whatever, sort of crossing each other's paths, but doing different I don't know. I think that part of it seems really, really cool. The 2-player optional mode.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see that really awesome moment where Batgirl, I think she's doing something with Robin's there, and she presses a certain button prompt and kicks a character, an enemy up in the air, and Robin slams him down with his with his staff. Right, I thought that was kind of a neat way to kind of incorporate the co-op gameplay. But I will say, like, it does remind me a lot of. Because I've been playing the Square Enix beta for Marvel's Avengers, and that game is up to 4 people co-op, and if you're just playing solo, there's 3 other AI people hanging out with you, and so playing this or looking at this gameplay, I was like, oh no, it's just another one of these sort of experiences, and in the beta, I gotta say, the beta for Marvel's Avengers feels clunky. It feels like it's just sort of like a jack of all trades, master of none situation where they've got all these awesome characters that all control very differently, but because they control so differently and they're physically different sizes, the level design isn't tight enough, and the gameplay for each individual character isn't tight enough. And so initially I was kind of like, oh no, it's another one of these. Watching the gameplay again. If you look closely, you'll notice that the characters actually have the same walking animation. They have the same crouching animation, and they there's moments where you called it out, Justin, where a secondary character might just sort of pop in. And my thinking to this is that this is going to be primarily a single-player game with that secondary option of online co-op. I don't think they should. I don't think they should have shown us the 2-player co-op in this demo, because I think it did, to your point, make it look a little bit janky. But I think this is honestly more of primarily a single-player experience, which gets me really excited because I feel like it's going to result in a tighter gameplay experience, even from a combat standpoint.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's like I always imagined, at least the Avengers game, because I haven't played it, the beta, but I imagined it to be something where you do one story mission as Iron Man, and then you advance to the next story mission, and now you're Thor, or you're the Hulk, right? And you just move around like that, rather than having this ability to switch.
For sure. The only problem is, and again, this is coming from the experience with the beta, is that they've designed certain levels, story levels, that are for Thor. They've designed one that's for the Hulk. They've designed one that's for Iron Man. And those characters play great. The problem is the majority of that game, you can play any level as any character. So you play Iron Man and you're flying around on an indoor, level that just feels awful because you're trying to use those sort of physics, and then you go to something like the Hulk and he doesn't quite fit within the parameters of that level. So there's all sorts of issues where I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, okay, we've got 4 characters that have very slight alterations between them, but they're primarily going to play the same. So from a traversal standpoint and from a level design standpoint, I think this game is going to do better.
Right.
That's my experience so far.
Interesting.
Yeah. But guys, I got to ask, who would you want to play most as out of the 4?
Nightwing, for sure.
Nightwing. Dope.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big Batman guy, so I don't even know who
Nightwing or Batgirl, for sure. Like Red Hood and
dude, I was thinking
Dick Grayson or whatever, but
I mean, Robin's teleportation feature seems cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was if that's what that is. No, I definitely would go for
the satellites, the Justice League satellites, and he transports, doesn't he?
Oh yes, yeah. I think there was something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to watch it again.
Jeez,
I
paid more attention than you, maybe. Who
knows?
No!
I would probably go with Barbara Gordon for sure. Oh, and by the way, that game is coming out 2021 for PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So we'll see how that works. Moving on to Suicide Squad full cast reveal. So get ready for this one. It's going to be a lot of talking here. Give me one moment. James Gunn's Suicide Squad has been revealed, and the team has grown exponentially. Notably, we've got some new additions to the squad, as well as some people coming back. I'm just going to read them out here. So we've got Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, John Cena as Peacemaker. We've got Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. We've got Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, David Dastmalchian, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, as Polka Dot Man.
That was well done, I think. Well done.
I thought that was, yeah. Oh, thank you. Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2. Okay. Steve Agee as King Shark doing the mocap. Sean Gunn doing the mocap for Weasel, which is just the strangest looking thing. Flula Borg, which I was so excited about.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Coming in as Javelin. Nathan Fillion as TDK. We've got Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. Pete Davidson, which I was like, what? As Blackguard. Alice Braga as Sol Soria. Mei Ling Ing as Mongal. We've got Michael Rooker as Savant. Storm Reed, she's playing Tyla, who also is Bloodsport's daughter. We've got Jennifer Holland as Amelia Harcourt, and rounding out the crew, Juan Diego Bato as Luna. Guys, this is a stacked cast in some of the most intriguing ways, I think. We're not getting like cream of the crop top celebrities here, but we're getting some very interesting casting. Guys, what did you think about the casting, and who are you most excited to see on screens? Kevin, we'll start with you.
I mean, because I have no idea who 90% of these characters are, and they just seem like some of the most bizarre superhero or comic book characters ever. I mean, so I gotta first ask: is this a sequel to the first one? Is it a reboot?
It's almost like a soft reboot. Is what, like, they haven't really said what it is, but because of the fact that they're still keeping some of the characters. Obviously, like the Harley Quinn, and I'm so glad Jai Courtney is back. He was probably one of the highlights.
He was
of Suicide
awesome
Squad.
as Captain Boomerang.
Yeah,
and how often do you say, "Oh, Jai Courtney was
exactly.
awesome"?
Yeah, no, he was fantastic, right? And I'm glad that they've kept certain elements and they're incorporating new things, but it definitely feels like it is going to take more of a Guardians approach, if you will.
Makes sense.
It's so funny that the original Suicide Squad that they did, they tried to, in post, turn it into a Guardians of the Galaxy, a band of misfits that's, driven by very fun, sort of quirky personalities between them. But they did it in post. Now, obviously with what happened with Marvel, they're like, hey, James, why don't you come over and do Suicide Squad? We did a failed attempt at a Suicide Squad that was supposed to be a Guardians. You know what? We just need you to do it.
And I think one of the things that we got, they also showed off a sort of a look behind the scenes. They didn't quite have a trailer ready, so they showed off a look behind the scenes. And I can't remember who said it, but somebody in the look behind was or in the behind the scenes thing was talking about the fact that it's a 1970s sort of war movie combined with the brilliance of James Gunn's characters and comedy. So sort of those styles melding together. I do think a lot of characters are going to die in the movie. Someone said in the behind the scenes clip, they said, don't get too attached. And I also thought that was an interesting sort of nod, because afterwards they talked about TDK, which TDK is rumored to stand for the Detachable Kid, which is I believe that's John Cena Nathan Fillion's character.
Fillion, yeah.
Right? And so you just imagine him ripping his arm off and beating someone with it. I think it's going to be a phenomenal thing to see on screen. But I do think to the point of a sort of the large size of this cast, guys, like, who do we think is going to potentially bite the bullet, so to speak, in this movie?
You're right. There's a lot of people that are going to bite the dust. I'm not really concerned about who's going to bite the dust. Who's going to stand out? Like, John Cena looks crazy in this role. Like, he looks like he might do a really good job at being, as he described, the Captain America douche, right? Like, it'll be so second nature for him, because especially coming from a wrestling background. Like, so I'm excited to see someone like that in a movie. And Idris Elba might flex. I don't know. He seems a little bit more like he's flexing a comedy stint. Like, he wants to get more into like other things other than just the typical action stuff that he's known to do. So I think this could be that bridge where he's doing what he's conventionally known for, but he might be interjecting a little bit more humor and maybe heart. I imagine he's going to be a very core character.
Well, especially with his daughter, in the movie.
Like, it's kind of interesting. We have like 3 new additions to the the pantheon of people who've been in a DC and a Marvel movie now, right? Michael Rooker, Sean Gunn, and then David Dastmalchian, or whatever it is, are all now joining that pantheon of being in both a DC and a Marvel movie.
Yeah, they're there for James, though, right? They're there for James.
Sure.
Yeah, they'll follow him.
Yeah. I really hope this puts Flula on the map. Flula Borg is absolutely amazing.
So
He's so funny. So, for anybody who doesn't know him, I hope this sort of introduces, his sort of very quirky comedy to a lot of new people. And then, it'll be interesting to see who Taika ends up playing, right? Like,
he wasn't
the most
there.
logical thing would be for him to play the Shark Man, especially because I was reading an article about how he's just so busy he couldn't physically be in this movie. He just wouldn't have the time when they were filming it.
Right.
And so it's more likely that he just sort
Voice.
of, did a voice recording sort of thing. So
that would be perfect.
Yeah, like him as a big giant shark man, he'll come up with something that'll really suit that
bite
character.
Your head off.
So
And maybe they could even, like, I know you guys may not have caught too much of it, but like that Harley Quinn animated series, the Shark Man in that is like phenomenal. So maybe he can sort of take from some of that comedy stylings of that show and pull it in. But guys, we've got a little bit of a while to wait before that movie comes out. I believe it's coming out August 6th, 2021. So
Still
quite a
sooner
while
than
from
Batman.
now. Still sooner than Batman, that's for sure. But moving on to our next story, Static Shock movie and Milestone Comics revival. So during the DC Comics surprise panel, it was announced that Milestone Comics is being revived alongside a new Static Shock comic book and potential movie. So guys, did you ever keep up with the Static Shock character at all back in the day?
this one did nothing for me. I don't know what Milestone Comics are. I didn't know who Static Shock was. So this little bit of news was kind of like a meh, next.
For sure. I mean, if you don't follow the character or the comic specifically, right? Like I've known of Static Shock, but I didn't quite grow up with him. I've sort of seen the character animated a few times on TV, but to hear that they're potentially doing a movie, I think it's super cool. And I think this panel, alongside with like the boss females of color within the world of DC panel, I thought was really, really cool, because I think what it does, what both of those panels really made sure to highlight was the amount of obviously diversity and even female representation within the TV DC universe. And I think we'll talk about maybe a little bit later on the aspect of like multiverses. And I was talking to Justin off air about how I'm not too comfortable with the idea of multiverses. But I think if you are going to look at a really good aspect of a multiverse, is it does afford them the ability to have a ton of different perspectives, ethnicities, genders, and different walks of life represent these iconic characters, which I think is super cool. From a creativity standpoint, there's a lot you can do with it. From a multiverse standpoint, it makes me feel, as a new fan of DC or someone coming into the TV shows, it's very daunting. But I think it's kind of a neat way for them to approach using some of the more positive aspects of the multiverse. Moving on to our next big thing here, the Snyder Cut teaser trailer and sort of mini-series, I guess you could call it, was revealed. Zack Snyder's long-fabled Snyder Cut of 2017's Justice League, known as Zack Snyder's Justice League, had its first official trailer debut during a panel at DC FanDome. Guys, we got some, hallelujah.
I hated the tone of this trailer.
Really? Yeah, Kevin, what'd you think?
It made what is it's going to be a 4-hour-long movie essentially, and it made me think this is going to be pretty slow and boring at points. Like that trailer dragged. It felt 4 hours long.
Apparently, there was a significance to why he chose that song. I was reading an article today. I think it was on IGN, actually. Actually, it might have been another source. But talking about, just the idea of Hallelujah, like his cuts coming out, fan bases, really resurrected this. Like he chose a song. Okay, but I am with Kevin. This didn't help with building any sort of momentum. I'm just like, these are all visuals you were already teasing, right? Like, to see Darkseid just standing there, it's like you already showed this. There's already been.
Well, and outside of like that change to the character or the addition of him, I couldn't tell what was new.
Well, there was a new look to Steppenwolf. There was a couple new scenes. Like they switched out it looks like there's a whole other sequence that's going to happen where it's just Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman, where they leave Batman. Right. So there's going to be like another sequence. And how soon does Superman rejoin with them? Because he only comes in, like in the original, he only comes in the last act, in the final act, and when they probably halfway through the final act, where they're getting their asses handed to them by Steppenwolf. So like there was a little bit, there wasn't even that much of him shown in it, but I don't know, man. Like it's just like, he could have at least ended with a date, like a date at least, right? Like it's still 2021
at this point.
Like, okay.
I think the weird part. I mean, we talked about spoilers with Cheetah appearing in the Wonder Woman trailer. Seeing Cyborg's dad, I guess, die.
Yeah. Well,
right. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't die in the original, right? Like in.
Well then, but even more so of a spoiler, right? Like, why show that?
But to say that this is going to be different, right? Like to literally show you that, like, this is going to be different, because he, like, in that panel, he talked about like how integral Cyborg's story was, right, to kind of like bringing the Justice League together, right? And I'm like, okay.
Well, and even just expanding more on his character, so we care about him,
right? Like
you get so little backstory and sort of introduction of him, kind of that, like, he was kind of like the fifth wheel.
Yeah. But he did the most. He does the most in that movie.
He ended up being pretty cool. Yeah.
And he's like separating this like 3 Tesseract system, and you know what I mean, by like interjecting his hands. It's funny that they use cubes as well as like this, anomaly that's destroying the world, but it's not just 1 cube, it's 3 cubes becoming 1.
Snyder also announced that the Justice League, his cut, will debut in 4-hour-long chunks on HBO Max in 2021, and then the whole thing will be available to be viewed as an entire film. I mean, that's freaks me out a little bit about the pacing. We've already talked about it being, the trailer being slow, the fact that it's going to be 4 sort of hour-long episodes. I don't know if I'd want to watch it that way, but then would I also want to watch it in the 4-hour time frame? I would
watch it in the 4-hour, like, not in a 4-hour episodes. I'd watch it as a 4-hour movie. I would do it just to actually do, like, I don't know, we've sat through Lord of the Rings extended editions, you know what I mean, which probably haven't, get close
those
to
were
4
good.
Hours. I know, but
those were good.
Like,
there's no guarantee this is going to be better.
Sure, that's very valid.
Yeah. It'll be longer, but will it be better?
But the Justice League movie was capped at just 2 hours. It was a 2-hour movie. Mm-hmm. There's not a minute over 2 hours.
Wow,
with credits.
Wow, so there's a lot of new stuff.
That's what I'm saying, right? So,
now,
like,
did they do reshoots with the actors?
They did not.
They have not.
No, he confirmed. So, he actually confirmed it that they didn't.
So did they? It looks like they fixed Cavill's mustache a little. Like his mouth didn't look as weird in the trailer.
That's good.
Yeah,
well,
that's good.
Maybe
that's what I was looking for.
Maybe it's
that was the big thing.
Well, because it's crazy though. Just like, because I recently watched Justice League again for whatever reason. I think it was to get me hyped up. I think it was in part because to get me hyped up for FanDome. But it's crazy to see how badly those graphics are. Like
it's obviously been talked about a lot, but instead of spending $20 million on bad CGI, they should have paid Mission Impossible $20 million to take a break in production for a couple weeks, so he could grow the stash back. That guy's
put a fake mustache on.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier to put a fake mustache on. But that guy is rippling with testosterone. He could probably grow that stash back in a week,
Well, he just flexes his face really hard. But guys, we'll be seeing that at some point, I guess, on HBO Max in 2021. Anything else you guys want to say about the trailer, or should we move on? Yeah, I think it looked interesting.
I think that was one of the more disappointing
100%.
panels.
Yes,
That one did not live up to
surprisingly.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would be something more like we would see maybe a new scene or something
clip,
that you know, just to kind of get us really psyched. But no, it was just a all mishmash of all this other stuff with some really sad music. So yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to something that I thought was actually a little bit. It was, well, I mean, he's always charming. The Rock giving first story details for the Black Adam movie. Dwayne Johnson, as the titular anti-hero, gave a bunch of different sort of descriptions and sort of lore behind the character of Black Adam, and it was all done to these sort of animatics, if you will, sort of playing out throughout. He talked about facing off against the Justice Society of America, which in the movie will include Atom Smasher, played by Noah Centineo, as well as the newly announced Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and Cyclone. Either of you stoked to finally see anything from Black Adam? I mean, this guy's been Black Adam for what feels like a millennia now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this one did for me. Like, the choice to do this little animated vignette wasn't really well done. Like, it was almost like bad CGI. It was a weird look.
Yeah, it's literally just an animated storyboard, right? Like, I've made these for projects, like for different like freelance things. It's like, this was just an animated storyboard with some visual effects added to enhance it and make it seem like it was bigger than it actually is. This is a very great sort of element to pitch. You know what I mean? If this was the director did all these visuals and took it, and had the Rock, read this sort of thing over top, it would have been very profound and easy for them to say, okay, let's do this movie.
But would they have been better off like doing just maybe a sit down interview with the Rock talking about his excitement for the project finally going instead of this? I think that would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been better.
It's just and I've read about this movie and story, and it sounds confusing and convoluted, and I have no idea what the hell Black Adam is. And
I'm more interested though where Black Adam intersects with Shazam, right? Like, he's more like he was the outcast. Did you guys see Shazam?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So they talk about the group of people that were, a part of Shazam's team who we inevitably see towards the end, and that there was the one that went against them all. If I'm not mistaken, that's supposed to be Black Adam.
Adam.
He was the one that went against them. So I'm interested to see at that point of where Black Adam will intersect with. If you want to do the fluffy origin story, that's fine, but I think they should have just somehow introduced him into a Shazam movie and then done
into Shazam 2. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that would have probably, Shazam 2. There you go. He comes in. I don't know if he needs this big origin thing, or if we can't be served up those pieces of origin in its own, in the Shazam 2 aspect.
Yeah. Maybe there's just too much to tell, so they need to set him up, and then Shazam 2 will be like the third part.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, they want to weave all those other characters into this thing, so there must be some sort of purpose as to what they're trying to do with that story.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, and it's the same thing with something like Suicide Squad, and in fact, like a lot of these DC properties, is I don't know a lot of these characters. I know nothing about them. So from a standpoint of like, I'm less excited due to the quality that we've gotten from DC movies, of late. But I am still very excited to at least learn about these characters and maybe get a glimpse at them and hopefully see them in their best light. But even if I don't, maybe go and find something else that would then show them to me in their best light. So that's slated for December 22nd, 2021, with a giant yawn from Kevin.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You're obviously not very excited about Black Adam, but hopefully you are excited. Hopefully you are excited, or you were excited when you saw Rocksteady, developer of the Batman Arkham games, reveal its long-awaited next game titled Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This is a next-gen co-op game in which players will take control of Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, that's my best accent for him, Deadshot, as well as King Shark, who I think I called him Sharkman earlier. They're tasked with taking down a mind-controlled Justice League. The game can be played solo or with up to 4 friends cooperatively, and if you're playing single-player with AI teammates, you'll be able to switch between them at will during at any point in time during the game. So, guys, this looks interesting. I've definitely got some thoughts on the whole situation. So, guys, what did you think of this Rocksteady's new, supposedly, continuation of the Arkham-verse stories with Suicide Squad? Justin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I was a fan of those games. I played them all, and they were so good. That whole world of what they built with Gotham. So it's going to be interesting to see how they move now into Metropolis, especially because they talk about how much they invested in terms of like really building Metropolis as a character.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great. I think there was a lot of like people that were. I think I was one of them, though, that thought that their next game that they were going to do was a Superman game. So it's going to be cool to see, your Suicide Squad fighting the Justice League. So you're probably going to see some of the other characters other than Superman. But it makes me wonder.
The boss battles, yeah.
Yeah, but it makes me wonder too. Like at the end, once they defeat, because like Brainiac is obviously the main villain here. Do they defeat them or do they get them back to normal? And like, can you then start playing as like Superman, or if there's Wonder Woman, or you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Might be a really interesting way to like, you've unlocked this character, so now as Superman you have to go do something, right? Like maybe that's the final battle. You're Superman and you have to defeat Brainiac, right?
I would love that, Justin. The only thing I'm honestly thinking though is Rocksteady, like any other company, loves money. So I'm pretty sure they would save that for another project, right?
Sure, but it would be a good taste if one mission you had to do something as Superman,
even if it was
evil
like Superman, right?
Okay, I want a Superman game.
What if you could play as like an evil, like Brainiac controlled Superman for a certain mission,
like
right?
Even that would be really interesting as well. But I you're right. I think that they'll stay very core on you being able to play as these members of the Suicide Squad. So again, stoked. I'm glad that they're following the continuity of Arkham and bringing in that world and the look of it. It looks very, very much like a continuation.
It was weird to see it during the day. Right? Like,
yeah,
we're not used to
Metropolis.
looking at Arkham games, it's like there's a
dark
sun
and rainy
in this game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like it's always dark and rainy. Yeah.
Kevin, what did you think of this trailer, buddy?
Now I'll be honest, I didn't play the Arkham games. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to, and this almost tells me, okay, I have 2 years to go catch up on those so that I can be ready for this, because this looks like it could be a lot of fun.
They're great, man.
No, I think this looks like a lot of fun. All 4 characters look like they'll play very differently.
Right, which is actually part of like, that's part of my fear, right? And just like I was talking about with Marvel's Avengers, my fear with this is that it is rumored to be a games as a service game. Meaning, DLC, potentially added characters, which, that's exciting. I think Rocksteady, from a standpoint of gameplay, just in experience of playing them, especially in this with this universe, I think they do have the chops to pull it off, where I think Square Enix was a very interesting choice for Marvel to choose that developer to hone, all those different characters. I think Rocksteady has a little bit of a higher chance of pulling it off, but it does worry me a little bit because of the fact that, again, they're talking about switching characters mid-mission with this game, and the fact that you'll be able to play as any of these 4 characters at any time. Again, just makes me feel like, okay, cool. Like a lot of that traversal is Harley Quinn. We saw her swinging around, and we saw Deadshot, with his jetpack. I thought was really, really cool. How much of that is going to really feel great for that character when the developer has to split up their team between these 4 and potentially more characters if this is a games as a service type game? So that's the only thing that worried me a little bit. Just
hearkening back to some of your criticisms of the Marvel game earlier. This one looks like, because from what I understand, Arkham is very much like an outdoor kind of game, right? Like, are you, I'm not sure how much you're going to be going indoors in this one, and it's not like you have a giant, like, the Shark King's not nearly as big as, say, the Hulk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so,
yeah.
And if you are outdoors, then flying around won't ever feel too confined.
Too limited, Yeah.
So, but I mean, this did way more for me than the Batman, the Arkham Knights trailer.
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that really bothered me, though, is actually Deadshot. Like, Deadshot in the Arkham games was not black and was not like they changed his character.
Well, they
and
mentioned
persona.
that in the video, right? Like, it's an interesting choice that if it's a continuation, why is that character?
So
different?
unless they somehow justify that, like he's someone who learned from the original Deadshot, I don't even know. But like Deadshot's pretty unique, and there are renditions of him. But it's funny that they chose to kind of change that character rather than maybe bring him over from Arkham, because I remember there is a mission.
The easiest solution.
Yeah, there's a mission there. You have to like fight him, right? Like,
I wonder, was that the real Deadshot that we fought? Right? Maybe this is the real Deadshot, right? Because we see this character, he's phenomenal at aiming. He doesn't even have to look, during this trailer and stuff like that. And he's very full of himself and he's very smooth talking. Like, maybe this is the actual Deadshot, and maybe they make
again,
it
they have to
sort of
justify
a
that
joke, right?
Yeah. Maybe they'll have to justify it. So it's just a strange sort of thing.
But yeah, no, I'm very intrigued. I think what makes me a little bit, the only thing that makes me a little bit more excited about this, it gave me vibes of, did you guys ever play Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox One? Have you ever even heard of that game? No?
I've heard of it. I just...
Yeah. So just imagine bright colors, tons of zombie, sort of mindless characters running at you and you've got sort of these bright colored guns and weaponry, and it just sort of gave me those vibes. It looked very much like that. So if the traversal and the movement and the combat is even similar to that from a standpoint of, when playing the Arkham games, Batman is very... He's very rigid. He's very sort of tank-like, whereas I feel like they have an opportunity to maybe go a little more nimble with these characters, which I think is kind of exciting. But guys, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is slated for a 2022 release date. And again, another thing that makes me a little bit more excited about it, even though we didn't get gameplay for this one, it is showing as for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. And the reason that makes me more excited is because that means it's developed for next gen. It's not going to be on both. We don't have to play to the lowest common denominator here. We got a legitimately next generation title, which I'm super excited about. All right, so guys, this last big reveal, probably they definitely saved the best for last. The Shazam movie got its name. The sequel to Shazam is going to be called... No, I'm just kidding.
What is it going to be called?
It's going to be called... I had it here somewhere, sorry. Fury of the Gods. And apparently Sinbad might be in it. Anyways.
Oh, yes, I did hear about this. Right, right.
You can look that up on your own.
So
but guys,
it's
of course...
basically Jingle All the Way 2. You get Sinbad and a guy in a big red suit.
Yes, absolutely. But guys, you can look that up on your own. Of course, we're talking about The Batman. First trailer revealed. Rounding out the DC FanDome was the long-awaited first trailer of Matt Reeves' The Batman. In it, we got a look at Robert Pattinson's darker, disheveled Batman, glimpses of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and even Colin Farrell, which I was like blown away when I saw Colin Farrell in this. I was like, that's Colin Farrell? And of course, we got Jeffrey Wright as Detective Jim Gordon. And I think he does the best confused looking around the room acting I've ever seen from him. But guys, we didn't get to see Paul Dano, though he's in it as the Riddler. We saw his character. We didn't get to see his face. What did you guys... Or did we? Oh, okay. Guys, what did you think of this trailer? We're going to start with Kevin on this one. What did you think of The Batman?
I mean, this has had so much hype, and so many announcements over the last year or two that it was like, how could this thing ever live up to expectation? And then here this pops up and basically blows those expectations out of the water. I was floored. I was like jacked watching this. It looks awesome. It could be the best iteration of Batman ever. You know, which is saying a lot. You know, it honestly looks really, really cool.
No, I think I'm surprised that you think that it's gonna. I thought you would think that it's taking it too dark and too serious. Like, this trailer at least showcased how you could take a superhero and really push them into a darker, grungier world, very similar to like the Joker.
You could actually have this Batman in this world fit with that Joker.
Right, exactly.
Which I said was impossible, and you know, when we talked about the Joker.
I think that, you know, the trailer itself, man, like, it has this 90s murder serial killer, like Seven.
Yes, I got Seven vibes big time.
David Fincher, yeah.
I mentioned this to Nate. I was like, oh, it reminds me of Seven. He's like, oh, yeah, lucky number 11. I'm like, no, Seven. He's like, I don't know that movie, so.
Right.
But it has that
classic Nate hasn't seen, shocker.
Yeah, exactly. But man, it takes Nolan's grounded story and digs deeper by the looks of it. And this is only 25% of the movie. Like, I think we've seen the opening of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that Paul Dano is not going to be your typical Riddler. Like, the question mark is going to be, and the riddles are going to be part of his like calling card as this serial killer, more so than of like this, you know, madman who wears a green suit with question marks all over it, right? Like, it's and I like that they've used the green as like a subtle sort of thing, and well, obviously it's in the envelopes and in the cards, you know, but people have already dissected his outfit as, oh yeah, that's him for sure because of the green tone to his costume as he's pulling that duct tape, right? It's like, you know, like, sure, it could be him, but
I've also seen that it could be Hush.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Who appears in Riddler storylines and stuff.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
So, did you guys, you know, if we're going to get in the weeds with all the imagery and the specifics, did you guys notice the imagery on that card that Gordon shows Batman during the investigation? It's got a Halloween themed skeleton on it. Which apparently is a reference to The Long Halloween, which this movie seems to be loosely based on, which in the comics world, it's like a huge whodunit sort of mystery with Batman and like a ton of villains, which this movie apparently does have a ton of other villains in it. And the skeleton is holding up a cutout of an owl, right? Which could be the Court of Owls, and I just thought it was super cool. I think
that's where they're going with it. Like Matt Reeves was very candid about corruption being so integral to Gotham's origins, and even Bruce Wayne's family maybe having some sort of connection with that, which I think is tailored to the end, where it's like, you're part of this too. How am I part of this? You'll see, right? Like, I think that they're getting into this idea of the Court of Owls and this very littered, sort of corrupt Gotham. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they carry all of these different narratives into it.
It's interesting because we got that Paul Dano, I believe it's Paul Dano's voice, saying, "What is the price for your blind eye?" Right, as if he's trying to pay off Batman to turn a blind eye to like the police and the government corruption within Gotham. But you know, Matt Reeves mentioned that the Batman will take place during year 2 of Batman's career,
so smart,
which is really smart, and I think that paves the way for the Gotham PD prequel series, which will take place in year 1, to kind of help sort of build up that corruption. We get to sort of dive into the middle of it in the Batman movie, and then the HBO Max series is going to show us sort of where it came from, which I'm stoked for.
It's supposed to be year 1, and it's like you'll only see imagery and shots maybe of Batman, but you might not get the payoff of Robert Pattinson unless he makes an appearance at towards the end. But the series itself is made to focus on you know, giving breath to Gotham's corrupt nature and how Batman is kind of in the shadows doing his vigilante stuff. But yeah, this trailer gave me all sorts of different vibes of like it felt like one of those 90s serial killer movies that you would watch, right? Like, really.
Well, he mentioned like Chinatown, French Connection, Taxi
those
Driver.
Are old movie, Taxi Driver for sure, Taxi Driver.
Yeah, you're gonna get like this film, like detective noir story.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna see a Batman who's a detective, you know, solving crimes that way, like a detective, and not just, you know, flying around or driving around in the Batmobile and boomeranging things. You know, he's going to be like getting clues and being a detective. I think this could be a really authentic approach to the character.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the detective aspect is, you know, something that, again, could be leveraged a lot harder than it has been in the past, right? Where it was just more or less like he was smart and he had money, right? And he was able to figure it out or run
like
labs.
Christian Bale wasn't doing any detective work.
That's what I
Sure he was. Sure he was. In Batman Begins, you see him doing reconnaissance as Bruce Wayne, right? He's learning about Gotham, right? In number 2, the bullet through the wall, he has to rebuild the bullet and use his rich technology that he has to have it rebuilt so he can pull the fingerprint
Iron Man
off.
than he is a detective.
Sure, but I would say though that at least Nolan tried to implement a little bit more of that detective quality versus the other Batman movies that didn't really. This, I will give you, seems like it's going to be very much that, because he's hunting a murderer, right? Like he's hunting a murderer is what's going to make this feel even more of a detective story.
Exactly, he's got a murderer who leaves him cryptic clues, you know.
Right. And I immediately called Justin. I think after we had both watched the trailer like at least 4 times since between it coming out and giving a quick call, and I immediately was like, he's in a trench coat. He's in a trench coat. So I was like, that's more detective than anything we've seen from Nolan. So
yeah, he looks like a detective with that long ass cape, right?
Yeah. And guys, that moment, we got to talk about it. That moment near the end when you expect him to say the line, right? You expect him to say, "I'm Batman," and he doesn't. He comes out with, "I'm vengeance," and like right after, just like. Boom, 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 like pummeling,
brutalizing that guy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was an awesome scene.
Like I really enjoyed the Ben Affleck fighting that we got in Batman versus Superman, and this like took that to an even better level. It looks like, like it was hard hitting. You could feel those punches.
Yeah.
So cool. I want to watch the trailer again. So
I like the look of Gotham too, right? Like even in the small glimpses that you've seen, like the very London-esque. It adopts that sort of gothic architecture that's very Gotham, but also very like Tim Burton at the same time. Obviously, their visions of what that looks like. He says like there's a Gotham Square, right? And it's actually going to be shot in Liverpool with CGI'd aspects to it to make it look like its own unique city in the US, right? So I think that's smart, right? Like trying to figure out how you can breathe a new life. And this kind of gets back to like one thing that was discussed in the panel that we didn't talk about was this multiverse, right? Like this is DC's way to create their own DC cinematic universe is by embracing the multiverse that their comics have established. It's not necessarily like this Justice League movies that we've seen and these existing ones, they exist now as their own universe within the DC universe. And then you have the Joker, which we've already seen. You have this new Batman. Flash is apparently going to be the gateway to really kind of introducing the audience to this more understandable way of that there's at any time there can be multiple versions of a character in existence. And I think that's it. Like I don't know if I've mentioned it to you guys together or on this podcast, but that's what DC needs to do versus what Marvel's done. They've had a plan. They've been meeting their plan and their goal, and they've been rolling out with these movies and adjusting their plan as they need to, whereas DC's just trying to jump in. And if you're going to do it, you might as well just embrace the notion of a multiverse, multiple characters in existence at once, right? So I think it's smart. It'll be very interesting to see how they embrace this multiverse moving forward in all their various property endeavors.
It's amazing how one trailer can sort of change my perspective on everything they've done wrong. Like I'm impressed. I'm really impressed.
Yeah,
because I've done a lot of poop talking about these guys.
Yeah,
and what they've done over the last 5 years, and you know, with one trailer, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll forgive you. You know?
Well,
but it was great. It was great, though. It was great.
You know, last week we talked about all of the wonderful Nolan movies, and I had mentioned that I wanted more Nolan Batman, and that was one of my big gripes. And I will say, you know, if I can't get more Nolan Batman, it's great to see more gritty, dark Batman inspired by that, right? And coming from that. So I'm super stoked. October 2021, it'll be a great time for a long Halloween. But guys, that has been our recap of the DC FanDome. But guys, before we kind of end our episode here, do you guys have anything coming out on some of our other platforms that you might want to talk about?
The long-awaited Kev at Home Part 2 is very, very close. It's
Part 3.
Part 3? Oh, that's right. That's right. Part 3.
Well, it's the Kevin cut, right? So
there we go. Yeah. We're releasing it in 4-hour-long installments.
I'm super stoked to see how the Kev at Home cinematic universe turns out.
It's a multiverse, bro.
It's a multiverse.
Alternate versions of Kevin living through the quarantine.
That's actually a really good idea. Maybe we should do something with that. Very cool. And Justin, did you have any other projects you've been working on that you wanted to shout out yet, or maybe we're still working on some stuff?
Still working on stuff. I've been honestly, I've just been really experimenting with how to film some stuff and trying some stuff out over the last little while, and I think it got a new little way of showing some stuff off. So I just want to see if I can dig a little deeper. But yeah, it's been like a kind of an interesting summer of just kind of figuring out what we want to do with this whole hiatus of not being able to do our traditional fun boxing, and maybe trying to redirect some of my energy to trying to think of maybe some other outlets and other creative ways that we can do some stuff video wise. So yeah, just been experimenting, and yeah, maybe definitely hit up the channel because it'll definitely get dropped there when I'm ready to show it. But yeah, I've just been having fun right now.
Justin, you mentioned your love of Harry Potter, and that definitely shines through with our Yumi Toys video on the channel. Is our most recent, I believe. Definitely check that out and let us know what you think. Leave a comment; that always helps. And for myself, Nate Plays Games is going strong. We're at 81 followers. We've got 7 subscribers. We actually have subscribers, which is awesome.
Nice.
I've got emotes. I've got an emote of myself dressed as Hopper from Stranger Things, kind of pointing at the camera from our Fan Expo Hall video, if you ever caught that on the YouTube. So it's just me with a big serious face. And I know I miss it too. But you can spam that emote in the chat. I've got things where you can spend points and make me hydrate or dab for you or shout out something. So it's definitely a lot of fun. We do Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. over at twitch.tv/NatePlaysGames. This Tuesday I'm doing, I think on all the Tuesdays going forward for at least a little while, I'm going to be playing Fall Guys. Have you guys seen any Fall Guys?
Yeah, I've seen it. It looks like a lot of fun.
Dude, it's so much fun. Think like Takeshi's Castle, but you're all these little jelly bean dudes, and running through this course. You start off with 60 people, and then you get down to 1. It's a heck of a lot of fun, especially when I've got special guests on, which I love to do on Tuesdays. And then this Thursday, if you're listening to this before then somehow, I am going to be doing a short hike, which is just a little indie game. It's very relaxing. Came out on Switch. It's only like $7, but it's apparently one of the best underrated Switch games to come out in a long time. So definitely check that out, twitch.tv/NatePlaysGames. Also, super excited about this. Of course, we did our Nolan in Review episode, 2-part episode. Please check that out if you haven't had a chance to yet. But we did that leading up to Christopher Nolan's, pièce de résistance, his big giant movie coming out that's taken way too long to get here. The Geekcentric crew has tickets, and we are going to see Tenet on its release day. Guys, are you stoked for Tenet?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
I'm just excited to see a movie.
Oh my gosh. Go to an actual movie theater.
That's going to be and like an IMAX movie of all movies. Like of all the things to be doing right, to go see an IMAX movie right now seems
after
like
5 months or 6 months of not seeing something.
And it's not even the kind of movie that we would go see regularly, like an IMAX movie. But it's just we're not just going to see a movie; we're going to see an IMAX movie.
We're going to see a Christopher Nolan IMAX movie, you guys.
Dude, my God, the aspect ratio.
So super stoked for that, guys. If you're stoked for that as well, tune in to the show. We are going to have our Tenet review on the podcast very shortly after the movie comes out. So if you don't want to see it right away, if you're staying home and you're thinking about it, we will convince you. Hopefully we'll convince you, or we'll convince you to stay home, but we'll see. Well, that is a wrap for us here at Geekcentric. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you did, make sure you subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. We are Geekcentric, and you can be too, which means you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Geekcentric. Follow us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT. Follow us on Instagram at We Are Geekcentric. And if you have any topics or anything that you want to write into us about, or just tell us your thoughts about the Batman trailer, Kevin, where can they write into?
That is wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Did I get it right?
We are geekcentric@gmail.com. Yeah, you got it right. You got it right.
We were hoping you would. Yeah, you
Don't
would
email
chime
Kevin.
in there, Justin. So
email Kevin. Let him know if he got that one right.
But Justin, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. For joining me on this Detectives Comics filled episode. Tune in next time, same bat podcast. And as we say, love ya.
Stay home safe, guys.
Peace.